Hey everyone, in this video I got us a new project and we're going to try to get it running. So here you go, here it is. Here it is, it's an MTD Snowblower, 8 horsepower Tecumseh engine, and it's 24-inch cut. So yesterday night I did pop the carburetor bowl off, which is under here, right there, and it was dirty. So what we're going to do first is remove this kind of cover thing and then take off the carburetor and clean it out so that it'll run. So let's crack into that. So the tools you're going to need to do this are a nut driver or Phillips screwdriver for this. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver for these two screws, which are already missing, and there's one other one right there in the front. And this comes off. Then for the carburetor, we're going to need some kind of Torx or just a wrench. Oh, and it's also nice to have one of these little magnet trays. So the first thing I'm going to remove is, well, basically the only screw holding this on is the one over here, and it's a 5/16 nut driver. Just unscrews, and then the cover is going to come right off. There we go. And you're also going to have to remove the choke knob, so just pull it out like that. And you're also what you can do now is slide this cover out and out of the way. And you don't need to connect a little wire down there because we're not going to remove this all the way. We're just getting it out of the way so that we can look at the carburetor and hopefully remove it. So now what we're going to do is let's take off these two Phillips bolts here. This one here and this one in the back. So we're going to need a Phillips screwdriver to do that. So let me get that out. So to remove the carburetor without taking off this intake and risk breaking these bolts, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, a large one, and a 7/16 wrench to hold the nut over here. Then it just loosens like this. Then we're going to have to do the same for the other side as well. All right, so once you have disconnected, or once you've unbolted the two bolts here, you're going to need to remove the primer line, but I'm just going to cut this one because I'm going to replace it because it's like deteriorating. So we're just going to like pull it off the carburetor. And like that, it just kind of rots away over the years. Now what you're going to have to do is twist the carburetor. Actually, no, you need to get the fuel line off there too. So we'll do that with our pliers. I'm actually just going to cut the fuel line because I'm going to replace it anyway because it's like really cracked. And it's just going to leak a lot of gas. So we're just going to cut this like over here. There we go. Now we can tilt our carburetor off of the linkage and remove it and then take it over to the workbench to clean it up. So just go like this, and then it should pull right off like that. Let's check it out. Let's take this piece of fuel line off of here. So just kind of pull it. There goes the clamp. So we're gonna pull this out like that, and there we go. All right, so now we're gonna take off the carburetor bowl. So you need a 1/2-inch socket and just take this bolt out like this. And be careful not to lose this because this is the jet, and oh my gosh, this looks pretty dirty. So there it goes on the ground. So here it is. It's, what the heck was that? It's kind of dirty. Maybe the camera will focus. There we go. Yeah, so we'll clean that out really good with a wire brush and some carb cleaner. Now here we go. Here's what the inside looks like. Oh, and I also noticed the fuel line, like where the fuel line attaches, is plugged with dirt. So we're gonna have to clean that out really well. Yeah. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, that's not actually that bad. I've seen worse. Like on the remember the Lawn Boy carburetor? I'll post the link in the top right corner of your screen to that video. But that carburetor was like way worse than this one. So okay, that's what the bowl looks like. This is what the carburetor kind of body looks like. And okay, the bowl ring, the seal doesn't look too bad, so we're gonna keep that. The float and the needle still move, as you can see there, just a bit tight. So we're gonna have to clean that really well. This thing definitely had water in it at one point. But the good thing about the new carburetors is that it has a plastic float, so that like the gas, like, okay, the old carburetors from Tecumseh engines had metal floats which like corrode over time and get gas in them. These ones can't really do that. Anyway, There's just some kind of zip tie on there. That's weird. So I guess let's get the carburetor cleaner in the wire brushes and get to cleaning this thing out. I don't think it'll be that bad. And also, if your Tecumseh engine surges, 9 times out of 10, this little screw is the problem. So I'll dig into that a bit later. So let me just get the cleaner out, and yeah. So the first thing I want to clean out is the float bowl. So we're just going to spray it with the carburetor cleaner, like that. And yeah, look at all that gunk coming off of there. I'm going to wipe it with a rag as well to make sure it's like really clean. I might need to replace it, but I want to clean it out first, just to see how good I can get it. And I'm probably gonna have to end up replacing the carburetor with a cheap one, but I don't know. And I also have my drill here with a wire brush on low speeds. We're gonna wire brush this too. Now we're gonna spray it out with more carburetor cleaner. And then I'm basically gonna do this with the whole carburetor. So I'm only gonna show a little bit of me cleaning it because like it would take me like way longer. This video would be a lot longer if I showed you guys the whole cleaning process. And there we go. So there's the bowl. Looks pretty good, except for that little rust thing, but that's probably fine. I'm gonna wipe it out one more time, and then we're gonna let it dry in the sun. And then we're gonna move on to the actual like carburetor. Yeah, like the kind of the more important part. So, all right, now for the carburetor. First thing I want to do is clean out this excuse me, little jet. So I'm gonna try to spray this out with this carburetor cleaner here. And you want it to come out the hole here and down here as well. So yeah, it's pretty nasty. So I'm also gonna get my wire brush on my drill and then kind of just wire brush this. Now what I'm gonna do is get one of the wires from the brush and just kind of stick it like through the holes in the jet. This will help clean it out a lot better. So just like this, do it for basically all the holes on here. Then if you have an air compressor, you can also spray it out with compressed air. That works really good as well. We're gonna get down the center of it really well, like that. And we're gonna spray it out one last time with the carburetor cleaner. There. Kind of shake it out. Okay, now I'm gonna clean the rest of the carburetor, then turn you guys back on when I'm ready to reassemble the carburetor. All right, so now that I'm done cleaning up the carburetor, we can go ahead and reinstall the bowl. Now I'm not gonna rebuild this one completely because I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm probably just gonna buy a replacement cheap one from Amazon. I'm just like playing around with this one for the sake of the video. Anyway, but if you do rebuild yours, make sure you change the little ring here for the bowl because it might be cracked. Anyway, yeah, so get that. Get your little jet that we cleaned out earlier. Thread it back in. What we're gonna do next is change the fuel and primer line to make it more reliable because the old fuel line is pretty shot, and I have a new one. So we're gonna tighten the bowl back up there and make sure that your float works. So hold the carburetor like this, blow into here, and then tip it upside down, blow in the other way, and this one's good. All right, so for the new fuel line, the old one comes out of the tank here and goes under the cowl, but since I don't really want to remove the cowl, I'm just going to run it behind the engine over here and then towards the carburetor over there. So for the fuel line, I have these two clear hoses that should work nicely. So let me get them on here and lay it out. Then I'll show you guys what I kind of came up with. All right, you guys. So I made a discovery. We actually have to remove the cowl here because when I put the carburetor back on, I realized the fuel output like inlet fitting on it points this way, not that way. So to make it easier, and so I only have to use this one piece of fuel line, we're just gonna go and remove the cowl, and then we can change the primer bulb line out as well. So to remove the cowl, you have to remove these 2 1/2-inch bolts, then loosen the electric starter, then these 2 7/16 at the bottom. There's one on each side. So let me do that, and I'll show you guys kind of how to do that. So for the electric start, it's just 2 Phillips screws on here, or you can use like a nut driver as well. That also works. Let me just see what size it is. Okay, which means this is 1/4 inch. So just take these out. There's just 2. You want to go slow because you don't want to snap it off. So on a snowblower, everything's rusted, so you got to be careful. And I forgot to mention earlier, once we get it running, we're also going to do an oil change because the oil on this looks pretty bad. There we go. Electric starts off. We can move it over here and get our 2 1/2-inch bolts on the top. I'm going to use a socket wrench for that. I'm going to see if this little 1/4 inch one is good enough. Might need a bigger one. Oh, that's good. Hope we didn't snap it. That would suck. There we go. Nope, we didn't snap it. It's just a short bolt like that. Gonna want to get this one off too. You'll notice my hands are rather dirty because the old fuel line was like rotting. So and there we go. Now we're gonna do the 2 bottom 7/16 ones. So I need that socket out next. Sorry, this tube's kind of in the way. Let's take it off. All right, so here it is. Got to go like this. Maybe if it's not too tight, which it kind of is too tight. And when you put these ones back in, you might want to use anti-seize because the engine block's aluminum and the bolts are steel. So like they don't really react that well to each other. That's why it's making all that squeaking noise when I loosen these. And there we go. See, it's kind of like rusted. Yeah. Now let's go to the other side and do the other one. Here's kind of my setup for the day. I got my tools, my chair, and the snowblower. Working outside I think is way nicer than working in the garage, but anyway. This one's all the way down there. Where can you see it? There it is. This one's way tighter than the last one. There we go. All right, now that that bolt's out, we can remove the cover. And for the primer line, I'm gonna use a piece of weed eater fuel line. So this cover just pull right off. This, actually no, we need to remove the shifter linkage first. So it's like a cotter pin or something that holds it in. Let me get a pair of pliers and we can pull it out from, here, I'll show you guys what I'm doing, from the top here. Woo! Sorry about that, the tripod just kind of fell apart or something, so up here we need to get this little pin out of here. So we're gonna kind of pull this out with a pair of pliers. Hopefully this works. There we go. Then we can kind of just tilt this rod to the side and get our cover off. So let's see how easily this comes off and see what it looks like behind it. And you're also going to have to tilt, actually you have to remove the wire from here too, at the bottom. It just unplugs from the connector, which I will show you right now. So down here, you got to pull this off of here. Like that. And then when you remove the cover, you need to tilt it because you have to disengage the throttle lever down there. So I got a marker to mark where or what hole it's in. So you can take your Sharpie and just mark above the hole that the thing comes out of. So right there. Now what we're gonna have to do is pull this out and then just twist it like this. And there we go. And we gotta unhook this wire from the coil as well, which is over here. So pull this out. Maybe, actually we can probably just leave it dangling here. Yeah, that's good enough. Now first let's change the primer bulb line out. So to do that, we're gonna grab our cover, bring it over here, pull out the old line like that, and then push on the new one onto the primer bulb. Now we're gonna set the cover back down here, and then pull out our old fuel line and install the new fuel line, which comes out like right there where my finger is. Gonna set that there. Let me grab my pliers because I don't want to get my fingers any more black. All right, so now I'm gonna pull out the old fuel line here. All right, so I'm gonna pull the fuel line up from here, and then I'll turn you back on when I'm ready to put the new one through. All right, now we're ready to tighten up the bolts that hold the cowl on because I got the new primer line and fuel line on. So, got our 7/16 socket and just tighten them up here. Make a racket while doing it too. All right, let's go to the other side now. All right, now we can do the top two bolts, the 1/2 inchers. There's one. I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but we're gonna do an oil change after we get it running for a bit. And we're also going to shorten up that primer line because it was way too long. So just kind of make it look stock length. So we're going to unhook it and then put this down here, I guess. Actually, we'll go under the wire. Oh! Forgot to hook up the throttle. Okay, let's do that. And I'll turn you guys back on when I'm done that. All right, you guys, so I just spent the last, I don't know, 10-15 minutes getting the fuel line hooked on, the cover back on, this guy on. Now we're gonna put this screw in the front, and then we're gonna put gas in it and see if it runs. And I also need to attach the electric start still, but let's turn the chute out of the way so I can get the screw in there. And we're gonna see if this thing will start. Hopefully it does. So we're just gonna kind of very loosely put that in there so it holds the cover on. There we go, good enough. Now let's reattach the electric start with our 1/4 inch nut driver. So get the two screws, line them up with the holes, and then tighten them down. And we're also going to be testing the electric start as well as the pull start on this. Alright, that's on. Now all we have to do is put the choke knob back on, which is right here on the ground. And to do that, you just push it onto the little thing in the back here. And we also have to reattach the shift linkage thing as well. So there we go. Let me tighten up that screw for the key, because it looks a bit loose. Yeah, so make sure that with your snowblower, make sure the key is in it when you try to start it. So yeah, now let's reinstall our shift linkage, which earlier I showed you guys on these MTD snowblowers. There's a little pin that you have to unhook right there to get it on. So tip the camera up so you guys can see. Take that out and then just like put it in there. And we're gonna find the hole and put this pin back in. All right, let's get the gas out and fill it up with some fresh gas. Sticking, so we're gonna have to, so let's try to start it up before all the gas leaks out. So it's on full choke, the throttle's on low. I'll give it a couple primes and let's see if it'll fire up. More choke, more throttle. Alright, so it runs, but let's see if we can run it for a little bit longer to clear it out. Alright you guys, so that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. This thing runs pretty good, but in the next video, I'm going to install a new tire and we're going to replace the carburetor with a new one because I don't think this one's that savable. So yeah. Oh, and we're also going to change the oil because I didn't feel like doing it in this video because it's already like 20 minutes long and why not? So anyway, thanks for watching. Have an awesome weekend.